The trade deadline has come and gone. We are ready for another episode of the Just Beavin podcast. Andy, the Beav, JP, back at it with you. Following what was a very intense episode last week, we had 5 guests on, a part of our panel, part of our trade deadline special. There will be no guests this week. It'll just be the three of us kind of coming down from that last week. And JP, I feel like this is a necessary taking a week off of having a guest. We love our guests, but it's also nice just to have it be the three of us and talk some shop.
Yeah, we've heard the slander saying we're only a good podcast because of the guests, and we're here to either prove them right or wrong. So that'll be up to them. But yeah, no, it was a much needed break. Hopefully a little shorter episode this week than we've had the last couple, as we've had some of our longest outside of last week, which was somehow shorter than our,
Yeah,
our regular scheduled episode.
hand up, that's on me. In the intro, I was like, this should be one of the longest. It ended up being an hour and 25 minutes, which for us is not that long. Beav, we're back in space this week as we get ready for week 10. Without getting into it too much, you and I play each other this
Yeah, should be a good matchup. I'm ready to roll. This is gonna really determine. This is a big week for all of us for see who's gonna get in the playoffs and who's not. I mean, it's gonna come down to the wire. I'm ready to get rolling. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Without further ado, we can jump right into our week 9 recaps. Once again, some really good matchups across the league. And for those who have tuned in and checked out our socials, we know that things have changed. A little power dynamic in this league. Guys making trades, things looking a bit different now. But JP, we always start with your matchup right at the top. And man, you put a beating on Crook this week. And I should have done my research before we hit the record button. That's on me. I think it is, but I'm not positive. Is this a single game high in the 4-year history of our league in points scored?
This is now the regular season record. Zaparo scored 223 in the loser bracket last year.
That's
So
right.
that is still the highest point scored. This is second though, beating Zippy's other record, which was also set in the losers bracket of 214. So
All right. Well, I mean, I'll let you get into it, man. I'm sure it's nothing but positive things to say. 217 for yourself in week 9.
yeah, Henry got stopped on the goal line twice, which that was the record. If Henry doesn't get stopped, that breaks the record right there. So that was unfortunate. Another one that was brutal was Gazden going looking great in the first half and then pretty much non-existent in the second half. Brian Thomas Jr. catches his biggest pass of the day and then rolls his ankle. That was unfortunate, but Brock Bowers, my sweet, sweet prince, boy, is it good to have him back. Comes back in fashion with 52
It's
points.
unbelievable.
I think Zippy said something that this was the second highest scorer in Beaverfest history.
Jamar
Just
Chase
absolute,
would
yeah.
be the
When he
top.
dropped
Yeah.
what 60,
It
yeah.
was 55 and he was against
Just
me. So, yeah, I do remember that
yeah.
pretty
Well,
vividly.
see, that's why you remember it. Absolutely insane though. But yeah, it was awesome. And watching it while I was driving back to school was every time red zone flipped over, it was just Bowers, Bowers, Bowers. I was like, oh, this is awesome. The only unfortunate thing about watching the Raiders game is the fact that sometimes I can't tell the difference between Mayer and Bowers, and so Mayer catches passes, and I pre-celebrate, and then he goes down. I see it was 87, not 89. He obviously looks a little slower too, but back to the team. I think I'm gonna roll tight end, three tight end premium. I was looking to maybe acquire a fourth tight end at the deadline, bench Kyler Murray for the long run, and then roll with four tight end premium. But I think I'm gonna lock in the flex positions, and for the rest of the year, I'm gonna run Gazden, Bowers, and Fannin, and hopefully take that all the way to a championship. I went out, made a move. We'll talk about it a little more in the previews for Brissett, but it they keep telling me Purdy's coming back, and then he doesn't practice, and Mac Jones is questionable all week, and then Mac Jones ends up healthy and the starter, and so I'm a little upset. I even gave up assets because I gave up what's likely to be the 303 for Brissett and the 403 for Brissett. I'm a little upset. I caved on that, knowing that Mac Jones is gonna start again this week. But as we see when we get to the preview, my schedule, I no longer have any Make a Wish teams on my schedule anymore. I finish with some combination of Frank, Drew, Boyer, Ty, and I think there's another good team mixed in there somewhere. Maybe Brady or I don't know.
Well,
But
Ty has backed off a bit. I mean, we'll get to that more in the previews.
Ty
But
has backed off a bit, but I have the 49ers are on bye that week, so I lose McCaffrey, Jones, and Jennings, and so it, no, we take anyone we can get in here,
yeah,
and can't be too safe. But yeah, what else can you say? I scored 217 points. I'm over the moon about it. I've been waiting all year for the last 3 episodes. I've just been banging the table saying like it's good. The 150 is good every week. I'm always like the third highest scorer, third highest scorer. I've needed this boom week to feel good about the team. It finally happened. I'm so happy Brock Bowers is back. But yeah, this was an electric week for my team, and I could not be happier.
yeah. I mean, they're really. I mean, on my end, there's not much to add on your side of things. I continue to say, I feel like I come on this podcast every week and I say, well, Christian McCaffrey has been reborn, right? You always worried about his injuries. Last year was tough. It's like, man, he's just been what is he? He has to be the RB1, right? There's no way he's
He's the
not.
RB1. He's the
Yeah, I'm like,
RB1.
it's unbelievable what he's been able to. Not only the RB1, he's the number one player in fantasy. The guy's a
Yeah.
home run hitter every week, and literally just looking up and down. I was gonna say that the injury to Thomas and I forgot what else. Oh, the Henry getting stopped at the goal line. That was really it for you, man. There's really not much to nitpick and go after on your side. For Crook, dude, JJ McCarthy looked pretty solid. I know
Yeah.
only 143 passing yards, but man, we were watching that on Sunday. Dude finds a way to win divisional games. He's a competitor. That's a really solid 18 points that he put up. Shout out Dari for getting another carry. I think that's back-to-back weeks he's gotten a carry in a game, which good for him as a perennial special teamer. Nothing from Luke McCaffrey. Kayshon Boutte got hurt, which sucks. Matthew Golden's kind of trending in the wrong direction again. I know he had a couple of really solid weeks. I haven't seen much from him there. Not a crazy week from Tyler Warren, but in general, the Colts struggled, which haven't seen them do that much this year. It was a bit of a down week for them against Pittsburgh. And AJ Barner and Theo Johnson have been all reliable for Crook. I feel like those guys are consistently in the 10 to 14 point range when he's played them. We'll get to it in the previews. They're no longer on Crook's team, but when he's had them this year, those guys have been able to step in and put together some really solid numbers. And man, Wan'Dale Robinson getting 11 targets. I mean, with the neighbors injury, the volume for Wan'Dale has been crazy this year. Not a bad week for Cam, given what he is able to put out every single week. But man, yeah, I mean, JP, tip of the cap, man. This is how you do it. This is damn near close to perfect as it gets. So that's all I got, Beef.
No, I was just gonna say, just touch on Cam's side of this game. I'm officially worried about Matthew Golden, boys. Christian Watson came back, and he's looked phenomenal. It looks like he's taken Golden's role now, and he's just out in La La Land now. So, for Cook's sake, especially trading Golden for Judkins, who looks amazing, I would say right now Crook has 100% lost that trade because, I mean, Watson's taking over Golden's role, like I just said, and I'm heavily concerned about Golden. I don't think he's going to get the production. I think Christian Watson looks perfectly fine after his injury, so that's just my worry some about that. But other than that, good week, JP. Congrats on the record. McCaffrey, great week, and Bowers, tip of the cap to him. So.
Yeah, doesn't get much better than that. Beef, how about the week you put up, man? 171 on Ty. You're now 5-4, and you gotta love the Chicago Bears coming through on your end against a banged up Cincinnati defense. Perfect script for you, man, to get above 500.
Yeah, man, I tell people this, like Genty, he got 1990, about 20 points. I mean, the stats don't show. I mean, that Raiders offense is god awful. I mean, I genuinely bringing Bowers back, I personally think it helped Genty. I think it helped Genty, so it
Did.
created space for him to have more action and get involved with the offense. Having the defense pressure more on Bowers, let him do his job. But other than that, I'm really happy as we see Jacoby Myers is now a Jaguar. He's out of that offense. I think this helps my team a lot. Like JP said earlier in our chat, I don't know if it was in Beaver Fest or our other chat. They said something along the lines like Liam Cohen said, we actually have a guy that can catch the ball more. So I'm expecting big things for him, and hopefully that target share goes up for him. Uh, Other than that, boys, I'm really impressed with Romeo Dobbs. I know you guys are Romeo Dobbs haters. I mean, the target share is insane. If you click on him,
I wouldn't say I'm a Romeo Dobbs hater.
well, I'm just saying the target share is just unbelievable. He's getting at least 10 targets a game. Like, I think he had 13 last
Had
game.
10 targets in one game.
Okay, well, it looks like he's getting the targets, whatever. I thought he had a lot more than he had, okay?
Hey, look at that headline. Is Romeo Dobbs scratching the surface on his 2025 potential?
I think he is. I think he's worth the first. Anyways, but
Oh,
I'm just fucking
Christ.
with you.
That's
But
rich.
but yeah, Kelsey's playing with that premium. He didn't have a good week this week with only 4 targets or 4 catches. Looking good. But other than that, Kyle Monunga and the Bears, man, he looked great, boys. If he got in the end zone one time, could have had a 30 bomb, but that's all right. 26 carries for 176 yards. I mean, whoever took him for 100 yards, just having 100 yards, probably made a lot of money. I mean, he was probably plus 550 for 100 yards. At least I'd have to say because his line was probably 50 yards, right? I mean, maybe a
I
little
don't know.
higher,
As the starter, I probably would have guessed it would have been a tad higher.
but
But still, you would have gotten some good return if that was your pick.
no, exactly. But I just love seeing Caleb putting up these numbers, but you got to think in the long run too. I mean, he went up against the worst defense in the league, so I mean, I can't really praise him for that, but hey, I'm not going to ever say no to having him give me 38 points every week. So, but am I ever going to see this number again this year? Probably not, but we can hope for it. But I mean, he looked good, boys. But so we'll see how he plays at home this week. I'm just every week from Caleb. I'm just hoping for 20 plus. If you get me more of that, awesome. But other than that, good week for me. What do you got, boys?
Yeah, I mean the what you were saying about Caleb, I mean, yeah, it was the worst defense in the league, but he fully maximized this game. I mean, 40 fantasy points. I don't know how much more you can really ask from a quarterback.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
pretty damn good. Especially the fact that he caught a touchdown. I mean, that
Yeah.
netted you a little more points than the throwing of the touchdown, which would have decreased the 38.7 there. But the one thing I will say on your team, or one thing I wanted to highlight was, yeah, Romeo Dobbs looks good. I don't even know if the question and Christian Watson looks good. So A, Jordan Love sucks. I know that for a fact. And then B, where does Jaden Reed fit back into all
Right.
this? That's
Yeah, I
my
don't
question
know.
now
Not
because
even him, and I know this guy's not as big of a name, but Dontavian Wicks, a guy
Wicks,
who can get involved.
because
They have a lot of guys.
now
Savion
Savion
Williams.
Williams is
Yep.
catching a lot of screens. He's their gadget guy, so he's kind of that used to be Jaden Reed's role. The gadget guy took a lot of handoffs, caught a lot of screens behind the line, but Savion Williams, I pretty sure his break tackle rate right now is through the roof. I don't know if you can. I understand that Reed has like been the guy for the last 2 years, but I don't know if you can just dismiss what Savion Williams is doing. Now, obviously, you lose Tucker Kraft, but don't forget that Musgrave was picked, what, 50, 53 picks, 54, 55, 56 picks before Tucker Kraft. I mean, Musgrave was the starter prior to getting hurt and missing his entire rookie year because of surgery. The Packers have no elite superstars, but have so many. It's like in baseball. They have a bunch of number two and number three starters, but they have absolutely no superstar in that rotation. On Ty's side, we'll talk about it in the recap. Ty blew it up. Was a disappointing week for Ty, though. Truthfully, he needed this one. This was the week for him to determine if he was going to ride out the season with this team or blow it up. A crushing defeat. Not only did his team underperform, but Drew's team went nuclear with that Bears game. So it was just a really crushing defeat for Ty, and we're on to the next year for
I
him. Great,
I
great win for you, though, Drew.
no, I want to throw in there too. Just not even throwing shade at Ty. I think it's hilarious how Mark Andrews only had 2 receptions and they're both touchdowns. So
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
does if he
Yeah.
doesn't even catch one of those touchdowns, he really has like nine. What that doesn't matter, but you get the
When
gist.
when that happened, I was like, "Oof, this is a great start for Ty on Thursday Night Football." I mean,
Because they
it's gonna
both
take a lot.
happen.
It's gonna take a lot for Drew to overcome
Yeah,
this.
because they both happened in the first quarter or the first half, right? That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were crashing out on the pod.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. So
So I guess I'll throw in you talk about disappointing on Ty's side. You need more from guys like Addison and McConkey. Them both being under 10 is pretty disappointing. Amon-Ra didn't boom. He had a fine game. He didn't boom, though. It's in those situations when your receivers like Addison and McConkey don't show up. You need your top dog to do that much more, and Amon-Ra wasn't able to do enough to recover from what those guys put out. And Mahomes is just a real clunker. I think he had 10 in
yeah,
points this week. I mean,
10.5.
that's not gonna do it for you, man. And
No.
you get that. Drew, the only thing I'll say on your side with Caleb, we said this. Some of the boys had gotten together and watched the Bears game after the game when they showed the numbers. We couldn't believe that Caleb didn't have 300 passing yards. Just on how crazy that game was and how everything unfolded, we all assumed he had 300. So the fact that he didn't have 300 and he was still able to put up nearly 40 fantasy points, I know that's because of his 53 rushing yards and his receiving touchdown. I get that, but the fact that he was able to do that without even eclipsing 300 passing yards is pretty wild. Kyle
Well,
Monangai, feed that man the rock. He was
yeah,
fantastic. It was fun to watch. And I mean, obviously, DeAndre Swift should be back this week. I think that's the plan. So you'll take a hit there. But I mean, you're never going to complain with a guy in your flex picking up 176 yards on the ground.
no.
So good job, Drew. You did your job this week, and you
I,
got that record to where it needs to be to compete.
No, absolutely. I think the thing with Caleb too, not getting 300, we got to think too. Monungai had 176 on the ground because I think if I remember right, one of those drives is Monungai got like 8 straight carries because he was just a bulldog. He was just going like crazy. So I mean, I'm not even mad he had 300 yards, but I get the point. Yeah, how he did. I get what you're
No,
saying.
I'm not saying you'd be mad. I thought it was wild. I just assumed.
No, I
because of how crazy the game
100%.
was.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So yeah.
Alrighty. And we move to our first non-panel member game in a low-scoring affair. Matt taking on Dade this week. Henny getting a much-needed victory, regardless of how that shapes out, getting to 116 points, defeating Dade, who hit the 89-point mark. Drew, you have a question on each of these teams. I'll let you decide which question you want to start with.
Yeah, we'll go with Matt first. I think this is more of an important question. So Matt makes a big splash at the deadline. For people that know, our trade deadline was last night. He makes a big splash with Typhoons. He got his quarterback in Baker Mayfield, which we'll talk about in the preview. Uh, does this make Matt a legit contender, or are we still a little worried that he didn't really fill his running back holes and still is starting Bryce Young at a super flex? JP, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think?
He can start Gino, so not overly worried. Although I'm not truthfully inspired by Trey Benson. I can't say I don't like Trey Benson because I do like Trey Benson. I'm just not overly inspired by him. The other thing that worries me is, and hopefully it'll be better with the deadline acquisition. But look at some of these teams here outside of Washington, which if Matt makes the championship, that could be humongous. But look at some of these teams in this stretch right here.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Dallas is going to be playing from behind a lot of these games. I'm not sure how much usage Javonte Williams is going to see over those weeks. I don't know if the running back room is good enough to win a championship. He certainly has the wide receiver core to do it now, as we'll get to in the previews. But and I'm still not sure. Geno Smith will be better with Bowers. That's a given fact. I'm still not sure though if Geno starting in the super flex and then Javonte and or Benson starting will be good enough to win a championship.
I agree with Yak. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll raise a question to your question. What are you defining as a contender? Like a contender to make the playoffs or a contender to win a title?
I mean like a top like in the semis. Like, do you think we see Matt in the semis and then winning that semi and going to the championship?
I
But
mean, this is
contender like being like top four though. Do we see him being in the top four in the playoffs?
I mean, on paper he shouldn't be, but this league is really weird. We've talked about the fact that the first 2 years of this league, 2 of the 3 years, we've had the last team get in win the whole thing. So that's just weird how it works. I would say on paper, based on how the team is constructed, no. I feel like that. I feel like even Matt himself would tell you that. I mean, I would say similar things about my team. Us guys that are hanging out trying to, get into those last couple of spots. I mean, I like to think I'm honest. I don't know on your end, Drew, how you feel about your group, but I mean, I think we'll admit our flaws and all that, but I think we've learned, and I say this time and time again, if you get yourself a seat at the table, that's all that really matters. It starts over from there. I don't love the fact that he has to deal with Bryce and Gino, but hey, it's better to have that as a problem and have a guy like Baker locked in as your QB1 rather than not addressing it at all. I still think there are bigger things to worry about, but Matt upgraded at a position that you desperately need to upgrade at in this league. So I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And it certainly helps his odds, to say the least.
No, I agree. So you guys ready for Dave's question?
Let's do it.
So what is the concern level for Dave's team? He has Chuba now getting promoted to the running back 2 on the Panthers now, with Rico getting the RB1 spot. And he doesn't have a tight end. He has Cole Kmet, and we'll get into that later with Loveland having his breakout game against Cincy. Uh, they does granted have a first, which will be JP's first, which will more than likely be 110 through 114. Going to be a late first, and he has 2 seconds that will most likely be late. This draft class is very weak offensively, On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are we for Dade's team in the next year? JP?
Yeah, I actually like this tight end class and think that he'll be able to address that. Probably with my first would be my guess. I think I don't want to be handing out help to
No.
everyone in the league, but Kenyon Sadiq and Max Clare will probably both be drafted in the first round of the real life NFL draft, and so I think there will at least be a minimum of two first round tight ends in our draft. Plus, then I think Stowers from Vanderbilt will
Don't
will
say his
likely
name.
be will likely be a second rounder in the NFL draft, and there's a couple other names I'm forgetting, but I think in the first two rounds of the NFL draft, we'll see. It'll be much like this year. I think the classes are comparable. It'll be about 5 to 6 tight ends taken in the first two rounds. So I think he'll be able to address the tight end spot with that late first if he so chooses. There are obviously other holes in this roster now, and I think Day would be the first to admit that he missed out on peak value of Chuba. I know a lot of people made offers for him, and were they potentially low balls at the time? Yeah. I mean, a second and a third for Chuba, you could have made the argument that Chuba was worth exactly the 114 based on the contract he received in the offseason. Frankly, how the Panthers finished off last season. But as far as the tight end problem goes, I think he addresses that through the draft. And then with Chuba, yeah, I think Dave would be the first to admit he missed out on peak value.
Yeah, and also I want to get into real quick. Yeah, I'll come right to you. What is the concern level with him trading Worthy? And I don't know the other guy he traded to Cam. Obviously they're not
Was
on the
it
same team, but
Johnston?
Johnston, yes. But and now
He got Johnston.
Or he
and
got
he
Johnston?
he received Pearsall and Johnson, and Pearsall still hasn't played a game yet, and that's his week 4 of that trade, I believe. So he's had Pearsall on his bench now for 4 weeks, and he still has not played a game. And Johnston's been okay since receiving him. Are we a little worried about those two being his top two receivers as well? Yak, I'll throw that question to you.
I mean, I'm not really worried about Dade. I think we have to understand. I mean, he wasn't trying to like contend. I mean, at least I don't think he was trying to contend and make the playoffs this year. Like, this is a rebuild. I mean, obviously, in the short term, I'm not worried. Long term, maybe, but I mean, as of right now, it's not like he absolutely needs these guys in his lineup tomorrow or next week. I think if I were to kind of track back to rating it on a scale of 1 to 10, like I said, I'd say I'm right in the middle to 5. I mean, obviously, these aren't problems to brush off and ignore with Dade and his squad, but I also don't think we need to be like smashing any panic buttons. It's not like his rebuild's not on time. I mean, the Scatabo injury sucks. Like, that definitely derails some things because that was his first round pick this past year. That's the guy you're going to lean on for a lot of stuff. But he has time. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have time, and it's not like his rebuild needs to be done by 2027. I mean, obviously, the sooner you can get a rebuild in, the better, because you obviously want to start winning in fantasy football. It's not fun to lose in a league like this, but he doesn't need to. We've seen what happens when guys try to speed it up. Ty rebuilds. It doesn't always work. So I mean, I don't think there's reason to be concerned. He wants to see his guys on the field, but it's not like Ricky Pearsall's going anywhere. He was a first round pick in San Fran for a reason. When he's healthy, they're going to try to get him involved. Like, it's not like the volume won't be there. It'll be up to him if he can execute and make plays. So I think I'm chilling right in the middle. JP addressed it pretty well with the draft picks, but yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all I got, boys.
All righty. And Matt, staying in the playoff hunt, staying alive. We move to another matchup of non-panel members. One guy we were able to have on the show last week as a guest, that being Jake. And Brady, Zippy getting a win, 148-120. Jake now 7-2, knocking on the door of his first ever playoff berth. I have questions for these guys. I have two questions on Jake's end, one for Drew, one for JP. And I have one for Brady here. And we'll start with Jake being the winner. And JP, the first question will go to you. Jaden Daniels, a staple for Jake's team. A real crap injury on Sunday Night Football with, Washington trailing by 30. That was tough to watch, all things considered. And while Jake does have Mariota, how does the Daniels injury impact his title hopes?
Yeah, I think it's a huge blow. I mean, Mariota's fine, week to week. You won't be upset with what Mariota's going to give you on a week to week basis, right? He's going to likely average between 12 and 17, somewhere in that frame, and you hope he runs one in and gets over the 20 number. But the reality is you're never going to see what you could see with Daniels on that 28 to 40 even range. I want to say there was a week last week when Zip set what was at that time the scoring record of 206 or whatever, where Barkley had 40, Daniels had 40, and he had another player that was in the 40 range, and the rest of the team filled in, and he hit 205. So yeah, I think it heavily dampens his hopes at a championship. Now, again, the team on paper is still insanely talented. You know, the
Yeah.
name value is certainly there on this roster. You got Barkley, Cook, Brown, Odunze, Garrett Wilson, Kittle, even Loveland emerging. Great stuff. But as far as now having to start Aaron Rodgers and Marcus, oh well, he has Dak Prescott. So my apologies, Dak's on a bye this week, so I caught me off guard. But now having to start Dak Prescott and then a variation of Aaron Rodgers or in Mariota, you're gonna need some big spike weeks from the skill positions to make up for what your quarterbacks are lacking when you run into a team that's starting, I don't know, Lamar and Kyler Murray, who are rushing threats and likely to go over 20 every week they're on the field. So yeah, I think it truly moves him down on the contender level for sure.
Yeah, but like you said, though, getting guys, and you see James Cook, despite not having a huge week, still got 27 carries, over 100 yards. The volume's there. If you scroll down as well, Jameson Williams putting together a nice week in that regard. And if you continue to scroll down, you already mentioned JP, you'll see as Bears fans, our sweet prince, the rookie tight end Colston Loveland, that game-winning touchdown over 100 yards. Drew, this question being for you about Loveland. He boomed this week. How important is he in Jake's run?
I think he's super important. You never know if Kittle, if he's going to get injured again. He's super injury prone, as we all know. So just like that, if Kittle gets injured, this is his tight end. I don't think Jake's really confident in Jonnu Smith as he started him right here with tight end. I believe he started him with buys. But yeah, I mean, Loveland needs to be a big part of Jake's team, especially how this offense has been for the Bears. I think Cole Kmet's out of the offense. I think he's done. I think he's more of being a blocker, even though he's not a good blocker. So we'll see how that goes. But I really think after this week, I think this is going to be we're going to see with our Bears that Loveland's going to be more involved and more involved with the offense. So I think this is a good sign for Jake's team.
You have anything to add to that, JP, or we got to get to Brady?
No, completely agree with everything Drew said.
Alrighty. And for Brady's squad, a guy who we give him credit, rebuilding team, or I should say an expansion team rebuilding in his second season this league. He's continually sat in the 120 to 130 range for most of the season. He's made it clear that he's letting off the gas a little bit, despite coming out of the gate with a strong start. I'll start with you, JP, then we can go to Drew. Who are some guys on Brady's team that you're excited to look at and that we should keep an eye on down the stretch these final few weeks of the season to try and see what they could add to Brady's future?
I mean, the really obvious one, and I had him as an pre suspension. I had him as an offensive player of the year candidate. Obviously, Rashee Rice coming back. He's been unreal since he's been back. He is firmly cemented himself as a true alpha wide receiver and a wide receiver one. And I think the moment Kelsey retires next year, when he does retire, I think we're going to see weekly. I think Rice will be right up there in the Puka Nakua esque volume. I think we're going to see him getting 10, 11, 12 targets a game. I mean, I watching that Bills game, I was all over the Chiefs and pick them. I had him I had bet on him. I don't understand how you can't funnel the ball to him more than only getting him the rock 9 times. I mean, he is so
Yeah.
good at the sport. But someone on a lesser note that I'd be hopefully keeping an eye out for is Keon Coleman. I think there's a big question mark looming above Keon Coleman's head. 1 week or after week 1 of this year, Keon Coleman was arguably worth between the 113 and the 204. And if Brady gave him up for that, no one would have batted an eye, and you would have been like, okay, he's clearly given up on Coleman, and someone's taking a shot on a young receiver who was drafted in the first round to one of the best offenses in the league. Since then, what are we witnessing? Nothing. No involvement. He's not getting the ball. It seems like every pass Josh Allen throws is going to Dawson Knox or
Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid. Yeah. And so it's extremely frustrating as a Keon Coleman owner in redraft leagues. It's been extremely
Yes.
frustrating. So now having to own him in a dynasty league where you got to look beyond this frustrating year, it's certainly hard. And so Brady will have a tough decision to make as as the year rounds up here and in the offseason to determine if Coleman's going to be a part of this rebuild or not. So I think Coleman is someone that he's got to keep an eye on.
Beav, I raised the same question to you.
Yeah, the person I want to keep an eye on for Brady is Elijah Aurora. I think he's really going to get involved in this offense. We saw it last week. I know they blew him out. He got his first touchdown of the year, but I really think he's going to get more involved, and I think he's going to take over AJ Barner as that's Cam Crook's favorite person on earth. But the other one I want to get involved, I want to get to real quick. I know we're running out of time. Uh, is Hampton. I know he's been on the IR for about a couple weeks now. I really want to see how he recovers from that foot injury. If he comes back healthy and they're sitting him out a little bit to get more stable and be better, or if he's gonna come back and look a little lost. So I'm just kind of curious to see how he'll recover and how he'll perform when he comes back.
Alrighty. All good answers, gentlemen. We still have a few more matchups to look at from week 9, and we'll get to those on the other side of this break here on the Just Beavin podcast. Still got 3 more matchups from week 9 to recap before we send it to our week 10 previews. And out of the intermission, it happens to be my matchup against Frank this week is the next one that we are recapping. The final there, 160 to 133, as we look at who was heavily involved in that matchup here this past week. It was relatively even, at least in the projected lines going in, but that's certainly not how things closed out. Just for me, gut reactions on my team, then I'll give it to these guys to look at Frank and anything else on my matchups as a whole. Alvin Kamara's washed officially. It's a really bad trade on my end. Matt got the best of me in that deal. I mean, I've enjoyed Trevor Lawrence, but not what I was hoping to have with Breece Hall on bye. It didn't help this week that Breece Hall, Emeka Egbuka, and Devonta Smith were all on buys this week. It's a third of my production out the window. Justin Herbert continues to be incredible, and I didn't even realize this until I clicked on him. He is the number 2 quarterback in fantasy this year, and I want to say he's the number 4 player in all of fantasy football, which is pretty wild. I guess you wouldn't think Justin Herbert is that guy, but he has been. He's been legit, and he still hasn't had his bye week yet, so that's a little concerning on my end. For when that comes up, Keenan Allen, not much. I mean, that game against Tennessee was so weird. It's super nice to have Puka back in the fold. And then if you scroll down and continue to look at who else I had to play this week, Chimere DK and Christian Watson wasn't ideal. I mean, DK did have a special teams touchdown, which is awesome, but didn't really get the volume I was hoping for the offense. Good to see Jake Furr get 7 targets after putting up a complete goose egg the week before. That Noah Fant touchdown late in that Bears-Bengals game gave me somewhat of a chance in that window at that time. And Lawrence went for 21, so that was cool as well. But yeah, I mean, we talked about in the previews last week. My guy's a little shorthanded going in this week. That's not an excuse. Obviously, you got a next man up mentality. It just was unfortunate that some of my buys have been bunched together. I don't know how you guys feel about this. A lot of people in redraft leagues will try to take a bunch of guys with the same bye week, so they just mail that weekend as a loss and keep moving. I don't really like that for Dynasty because every week matters, and I think we've learned that. I mean, especially in the situation that I'm in right now, every week matters. And this was just a tough week to be missing guys. And I'll give Frank his flowers. 160. It's a good week. That I was with him in the noon slate, so the Drake London game was not fun to experience in his presence. Dalton Kincaid was great. So was Dalton Schultz and Trey McBride. His tight ends were fantastic, and Drake London had one of the best games, if not the best game of his entire career. So hats off to him. And for my group, it's just on to the next week, Beef.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. You really hit it on the spot. JP, you got anything?
Yeah, Trey McBride's awesome, and like I mentioned on during Brady's recap, it looks like Dalton Kincaid catches every ball in that offense. I mean, I know he only had 6 targets, but it's just how it feels like when you're watching the game. Also, not much you can really do when Dalton Schultz has been like weirdly good. I was gonna say over the last 3 weeks. Okay, he had the 5-point game, but 25 the week before, and if we go back even before the bye, I mean, those are some solid weeks if you're just throwing him in the flex.
Yeah.
Tight end 17 seems a little weird, but I guess the tight ends are playing really well this year. Yeah, no, I'm curious to see what Frank's going to do with his lineup this week with no Stroud. It'll be interesting to see if he risks it with Ward, which I highly doubt,
I mean,
or plays a
Beef.
But
No, I was just gonna say Cam Ward's just unplayable. That's all I was gonna say. Like he's just unplayable.
oh, all right, yeah. And then it is nice to see that I think Bryce Young only had like 104 yards, so it's nice to see that McMillan had about half of those. What are you going to do about it? You hope to see Zay Flowers find the end zone, and that makes this a more profitable day. But yeah, I'm putting up 160 with Gibbs and Walker duds.
It's
Great
impressive.
week for great week for Frank, and then as you mentioned, Andy, yeah, you just got hit with a bye week bug, and I started DK in 2 redraft leagues. I don't know how we go from 9 targets in one week to 3 the next. It makes absolutely zero sense. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, it happens. Like you're gonna run into those weeks in the season. It's I always circle back to a certain loss in my season that a game that I really should not have lost, and that's kind of starting to catch up back with me. But like I said, when we get to our previews, I play Beeve this week, and that all of a sudden becomes an even more important matchup, not just for myself, but for him. I believe we have Jack and Rippers as our next recap, fellas. If we are good to move on here, and we do, he got to play Wade, and how about this? Wade 133 points. JP, you have questions for Boyer and Wade on their matchup this week, which was separated by less than 20 points.
Yeah, and then that was shocking alone. All right, we can start with Wade here. So I said, looks like the Laporta trade may have been a profitable move. If we scroll down here, he finished with 26, 97 yards, six catches on 8 targets, and a touchdown. Um, they started to rely on him more and more, which is good to see. Worthy, on the other hand, a little questionable there. So not so much short term is my question focused. My question is more on the long term. With Rice obviously being a focal point in the long run, where do we see Xavier Worthy on the fantasy spectrum? Whether that be a wide receiver 1 in the future, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, purely in fantasy. So, the wide receiver 1 to 14, 14, 28, et cetera, et cetera. Andy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think like if we're talking how Wade could start him, I think he's more of a wide receiver 3 in a lineup realistically, and that's tough. I mean, Worthy's an electric player, explosive, super fast, but if it's not Rashee Rice or Patrick Mahomes or even Travis Kelsey, and even then Kelsey the last year and a half or so, it hasn't been super awesome in terms of consistency. The Chiefs are kind of like New England of the past, where it's you just don't really know outside of a couple main guys, out of the other cast of characters who you can rely on consistently. Because Mahomes has his top target. He's got Kelsey. And even then, running backs in Kansas City continues to be a headache as to figure out who's going to take the bulk of the carries. That's more what's reminiscent of the New England dynasty runs in terms of connecting that to fantasy football in the 2010s. But I think just because you're going to get weeks like this from Worthy, where the ball may not even go his way, Mahomes may not even look his way. I think in terms of how you're going to line him up every week, a wide receiver 3 is definitely more of a realistic look, which is tough for Wade, seeing as what he gave up for him as part of a trade. But who knows? And who's to say Kansas City doesn't go out and draft another guy in the first 3 rounds this year? They seem to do that. They seem to like to continue to add and add depth to their room, which will only impact Worthy moving forward. So yeah, that's kind of where I have him as right now. And I personally wouldn't really care to own him in this format.
Drew,
Yeah,
and then
just
so Andy kind
Yeah.
of answered it on the short term. How do you see it in the long term
yeah, in the
beyond
long
this season?
yeah, beyond this season, I think he's I don't know. It's so hard for me to judge Worthy because he's like one of those gadget players. Like he's always gonna get like he's gonna have like a boom week where he has 25 points, and then like we see right here, he's gonna have the 6 points. Like he's gonna be the type of fantasy player that's gonna get those jet sweeps, and you're gonna rely on him to get like 30 yards off that jet sweep. And if he doesn't get that jet sweep for a good amount of yards, you're kind of doomed because I mean you see right here he had 7 targets this week, but I'm really starting to think with Rice getting back and the target share that Kelsey's getting, him and Mahomes are finally getting back on the same page. I really think we're going to start seeing Worthy getting about 4 to 5 targets a game, if that, if we're being honest. So I'm really seeing like in the long run, I'm really seeing Worthy at like a late receiver 2, early receiver 3. Kind of get what I'm saying, like in that range, kind of. So that's just my thought.
Yeah, alrighty. Then we can jump over to Boyer. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's a tough spot, especially with Rice. And then as Andy mentioned, yeah, like they took Jalen Royals in the 4th round last year, and they really seem to like him. So it'll be interesting. My question then on Boyer's side is I think we are all in agreement that this is probably the most sound team, at least through and through, pound for pound, that he's built. He's taken a lot of guys who were kind of viewed as, like solid players, but never worth anything crazy, like Pittman, Metcalf, even I'd throw Kyron Williams in there, Jalen Waddle. My biggest concern though is if the Steelers just laid the blueprint for how to beat the Colts, does this cause concern for Boyer? We see he only put up 150 this week with a Jonathan Taylor dud. JSN still goes for 22. Pittman obviously still goes for 20. And Williams goes for 17. Stafford goes for 27. And you're still only ending up with 150. If the Steelers just laid the blueprint to stop the Colts, how worried are we with him starting Pittman and Taylor about his ceiling as a team?
I can take that. I would say, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's your guy, man. He's the horse of Cam's team. If he's not going to be able to come through, or if he is going to have weeks like this, this is really the first down week he's had all season. That's a bit concerning. And you mentioned it with how impactful Pittman is. I think if teams are starting to figure this out on the offensive end for Indy, it could be, a weak spot for Boyer. Every team's going to have their flaws. And like we said, JP put up 217 this week. It was hard to find any flaws in his performance, but every team in Beaverfest, we're talking, every playoff team's going to have their flaws, or, oh, this could happen. What if this happens? And I think this now becomes man, we'll see in the next couple of weeks how teams are game planning the Colts. And if we see similar things, it's a big issue. And if you scroll down, another thing I noticed with Cam, Evan Ingram's been atrocious this season. And it might not be totally on him. It's on how the Broncos are using him. He puts up 150 without him even getting involved. My big thing with Boyer, who does he have on his bench in terms of tight ends? What is his? Am I missing someone? Has he had someone on a bye this past week that I just totally forgot about?
Hawk, maybe Juwan Johnson.
He's
He
got
just benched
Hawk.
him and went with Ingram.
Okay, yeah, I mean, okay, so I guess it's not as bad. I was gonna say the tight end position might be his biggest issue as well, trying to figure out who to play when push comes to shove in these playoff matchups. Because even when you have the depth, man, you asked the question about Ty a couple of weeks ago when he was still trying to compete. Is Ty's inability to manage the flex going to hurt him out of a playoff spot? I think we combine this potential blueprint, as you said, on the Colts with Boyer trying to figure out who he's going to start at tight end every week. I think those are the two big things to keep an eye on. And if this trend continues with Indy, yes, I'd be very concerned on Camp's side of things.
Yeah, JP, you want to repeat that question for me? Sorry. That's just, is it really, just go ahead.
You
Sorry.
spaced out, as some may say.
I did space out. Sorry. I've got.
Yeah, it was just to condense it down to spare some time here. I basically just asked if the Steelers figured out the blueprint on how to stop the Colts, specifically Jonathan Taylor. Does that concern you? And are we worried about Boyer's ceiling, or do we think this was just a fluke week for Taylor?
Yeah, I really was worried about that because, JP, I was heavily on the Steelers this week for the money line, which they did win. And Taylor did seem to struggle. I mean, Danny Dimes threw 3 picks this week, and that is very concerning, especially for one of our league members that just made a massive trade for Danny Dimes, including multiple picks. Uh, so yeah, I am a little concerned about that because I really do think, and Cam's not going to like what I have to say here. His team depends on Kyron Williams and Jonathan Taylor and JSN. That's the three-headed monster. If those guys don't perform, his team does. And as we see, he put up 149 points this week, but when he puts up 180 points, that's when Taylor's having 35 points or JSN's having 35 plus points. And JSN, he had 22 points, but this isn't his regular weeks from this season, boys. So, and then you look at DK having 2.6 points, which he's not in that realm. But anyways, you guys get the gist of what I'm saying, and it is a little worrisome for Boyer's side. So I am a little worried.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add unless either you do on either side.
No.
Got nothing at all. Nothing more to toss on there. We do have one more matchup to close out the week. Luke back in the win column. He came on the pod last week complaining about this curse that he has only lost ever since he came on the pod. Well, Luke, you came back on the pod and you won. So take that for what it's worth. He beats Jack 141 to 112. Is this Bauer's highest output in a week this season? I want to say it is.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. So Jack and Wade both setting season highs in points scored. I got questions for both teams. We'll start with Luke, and we'll start JP. I'll give this question to you first. Mentioned Luke snapping a 3-game winning streak, solid showing here in Week 9. While his top end talent is undeniable, we're not going to ignore Allen, Robinson, and company. How much does his lack of depth in the flex spots and beyond hold him back from being a legitimate contender for the 2025 Beaver Fest title?
Are you starting with me on this one? I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah.
I obviously I think it's a huge damper. I mean, we're out here and we're starting Darius Slayton. At the time of the trade, I gave up two. You could view it however you want. I think I gave up Bill for 2 threes, Tajay Spears and Brian Robinson. Now, did I absolutely traded for all floor and no ceiling with that pick. At the time, I was extremely worried. I liked Bill a lot out of college. Unfortunately, he doesn't look that good, and neither do the Commanders. I think losing Daniels obviously hurts the ceiling now. We saw it when Lamar went out with Henry. It completely impacts the team's ability to run the football. So yeah, I think the fact that he's got to start, some version of Chigakonkwu and Darius Slayton and Aaron Jones and Krosky Merritt absolutely hampers his ability to be a legitimate contender. And to add onto that, I think Tyler Shugg taking the reins from Spencer Rattler ruins everything that Chris Olave's been this entire year. And so it truly worries me about Luke's team. I think his ceiling is a first round exit. I think that's his ceiling.
Dave, your thoughts?
I would 100% echo JP. I mean, Justin Fields is Justin Fields, and I still not can believe that he gave up a first and Darnold for him. I just want to clarify that with everyone. He gave a first and Sam Darnold for Justin Fields. Yeah, granted he got Travis Etienne, but I still am not a Travis Etienne believer. I know he's been a lot better for Liam Cohen, but I mean, if we're being honest, the Jags have not looked that good. Okay, they've been okay, but I mean, they barely beat the Raiders this week, and they're terrible. I mean, that team is awful, as
Yeah, I
we all
mean,
know.
you're gonna have weeks like that though in the NFL.
I
Even the
understand
better
that.
teams.
I understand that, but I
Hell, we
mean,
should have lost to the Raiders.
yeah, we should
we
have.
really should have.
But my question for you guys is well, it's not really a question. I'm not even gonna ask that. Well, actually, I am gonna ask it. Should Luke be worried about Olave with Shug taking over? Like
I just said that.
Oh, did you
did
really?
you even listen?
I'm in space. I'm in space then. I'm in space.
It was
then.
literally
I
the last
can't-
thing I said before I passed you.
I didn't hear that part. Sorry. I'm in space then. Oh, jeez.
I will
Okay.
say, well, before we pivot to Jack, shout out DJ Moore had a nice week on Luke's side. It was good to see. He threw a touchdown pass, which is pretty cool. You don't see that every weekend.
Ran one in too.
Yeah, it's nice to see Pickens continually get some volume despite losing and being in a tough spot against Arizona. A game that I took Arizona and pick them, but I mean Dallas was the better team, and that is a tough spot to be in for the Cowboys for sure. We look at Jack mentioned as we got into this recap that season high in points for him, made some moves at the deadline, and starting to see some of his younger guys pick up this production. Beav, I'm going to start with you here on this question. Does he win a game on his own, a non-tanking game? He won his lone game of the year because Crook didn't set a lineup. Does he win a game on his own before the season wraps up? And if so, how does he do it?
Looking at his team, I'm going to say no. Just because Rashid is now in Seattle and he has Torrey Horton, it's going to be hard for them both to have 20 points for a team that he's going to have to beat, which is going to be a Wade. I don't think he can beat Ty's team, so it's going to have to be a Wade, Dade, or Brady that he beats. And personally, I don't think Josh Downs' ceiling is his ceiling is about 10 points every week. So I don't see him getting a win, unfortunately. No, I don't. I mean, his running backs are pitiful. I mean, he's starting. Not that Ollie Gordon's pitiful, but I mean, when you have Devin H in there, you're not gonna get the rock. So, and
Who's
I
the
think
new guy in New England, JP, that he started this week?
Terrell Jennings, I believe.
Terrell
is his name.
Jennings, he got a touchdown this
Yeah,
week
touchdown.
from my boy Hendo. I'm convinced that Mike Vrabel hates Henderson. I'm convinced. I don't know if he banged his wife or what happened. So uh we're just gonna go with that. So
JP, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to attack our fellow panel member here, but he's clearly not as tapped into the league as I am here. On deck, Jack, I believe, still has a winnable game on the schedule, and so, anyways, my take is yes. I mean, he just scored 112 points. We just
Who
watched
is that?
Henny.
Who is that
We
winnable game?
just we just watched Henny score 116. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
And my apologies. I did not mean to cut you off, but
Oh no, you're all good. You're all good. He plays Dade in week 12, and I think that's the winnable game.
there you go.
And like I was just mentioning, I know Matt Hendricks just rebuilt his team, but that does not excuse him from the curse all over his team, in which his team underperforms on a weekly basis. We just watched Matt Wynn scoring, 116 this week. Jack scored 112. Who's to say Jack can't put that up next week? Daniel Jones had his worst game of the season. Now he gets to go play an Atlanta defense that has been all over the place. And weirdly enough, Devon Vele now has relevance in fantasy because
Yeah.
Rashid Shaheed was just traded away. So honestly, yeah, I do see a world where Jack gets a win. He plays Dade. I'll read you guys his remaining schedule, and I'll outside of Dade, he plays Matt this week, Frank the week after, Dade, and then he plays Cam and Andy. So outside of Dade, if he doesn't beat Dade, it doesn't look like he's gonna catch a win in there. But
So
but I do think it is highly possible that he beats Dade, and
so he
likely, I would say.
so he plays Day twice then.
No, just once.
I thought I heard.
No,
Dude,
Matt.
I'm out of it then because I thought I heard you
Yeah.
say Day twice. I
Matt,
didn't.
Dade. Was it me and Cam? And I know I
Matt,
play him
Frank,
week 14.
Dade, Boyer, Andy. That
Yep,
order.
I play him in week 14. That I do know. But all right, yeah. And shout out to Jack and making some moves and trying to spice up his squad and looking to catch a victory potentially this year. That 342 yards. Daniel Jones threw the ball 50 times in that Steelers game. Really the first time we've seen them being the Colts look vulnerable this year.
Five
Shout out.
turnovers just from him alone, and they only lost
Yeah.
by a touchdown.
And he still managed 14 fantasy points with 5 turnovers. That's pretty dang impressive. Normally you're seeing guys not in double digit fantasy points at the quarterback spot. When they do that, fellas, do we have anything more here, or can we move on to our week 10 previews?
Here we can move on.
I think we can move on.
All righty, let's do it. Without further ado, we will send you to our week 10 previews here on the Just Beavin podcast. Week 10 and a pivotal one at that coming up here in Beaver Fest. A couple of matchups will determine how some of the playoff outlook is going to present itself moving forward. And we have playoff teams, or at least playoff hopefuls, matching up against each other quite often this week. This is a good week in general in terms of the competitiveness of this league. And JP, we start with your matchup against Frank, two playoff hopefuls, two playoff likelies. Obviously, you both should find your way in. It'd be pretty impressive if either one of you did or one of you didn't. But either way, you got Frank, and you have a healthy 17-point projected lead on him entering the week with a 60% chance to win. How are you feeling? And what do you think the odds are you bump yourself up to 9-1?
Yeah, ultimately, I feel good about the idea of 9-1. I've got some matchups I really like. McCaffrey versus Los Angeles. I'm expecting big things there. I think it was Wade in the group chat, and he would know best, said that whenever the Steelers play a tight end, it feels like the tight end goes absolutely nuclear. Tucker Kraft went nuclear on them just a couple of weeks ago, and now I get Gadsden going against them. I love that. Bowers against Denver obviously worries me. The Denver defense is legit. I love Fannin versus a depleted Jets defense now. Brissett probably not getting the start here. It'll likely be Mac Jones if Mac Jones is named the starter. Although I don't know, Brissett's been slinging it, but I do like the Mac Jones and C-Mac stack for whatever that stack is worth. But my favorite matchup of all that really puts this over the top is Jefferson versus the lackluster Minnesota or Baltimore defense. If they can open it up with the run game and find Jefferson in some one-on-one opportunities, I'm feeling a 2 touchdown game from him, and finally his first 30-point performance of the season I think comes this week. But I will say to Frank's credit, every time we play, I think I think we've both scored above 170, and it always is a very close game. So I fully expect his team to go over their projection, and whether I go over mine or go under mine and he goes over his, this is going to be a lot closer than the projection shows.
I'm happy you brought up the fact that when you guys play, it's a shootout because I had that penciled in on my card as well. I'm going to take you to win, JP, but all I want to do is go through either guys or a guy I'm looking at on each side. For you, I'm excited to see what this trifecta tight end stack start will look like for you with Gadsden, Bowers, and Fannin. You talked about it in the recaps as something you were looking to do potentially here this week. Bowers coming off the second highest scoring performance in the history of Beaverfest, and Gadsden's been such a steal in that regard, being at the rookie spot, being with that LA offense. It'll be in prime time, so all the eyes are going to be on him. Be cool to see what happens there. And you got Bowers going on Thursday Night Football to start off your week. Frank's going to counter with his QB1 and Bo Nick. So you both will have some fireworks going on tomorrow night. We're recording on a Wednesday night here this week. And for Frank, I'm looking forward to seeing what Tedaro McMillan can do against the Saints. I mentioned he got 6 targets. It was a tougher week for Bryce Young. Carolina able to go into Green Bay and stun the Packers here this past week. I want to see that growth. I want to see McMillan continue to get those targets and potentially have an even stronger output, and looking for a bounce back week from Frank's running backs, despite him putting up 160 against me in week 9. Gibbs and Walker both went under 9 points. Looking to see if those guys can bounce back as well. But ultimately, JP, I do think it'll be yourself getting victory here in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the upset here. I'm gonna take Frank here. I know he's not starting a quarterback in a super flex, and I really like his matchup of Tet going against the Saints, and I really like Kenneth Walker going against the Cardinals D. Uh, we'll see what happens. And we just talked about too. JP really hit on it. Josh Allen's favorite target is his tight ends this year with Dalton Kincaid, and he's going up against that Miami D. So I think it's going to be a big week for Dalton Kincaid. So I really do think though this is going to be a shootout. So it's going to be the upper hand of what boys want to fight more than the other boys. So I said that very bad, but you boys know what I mean. So I'm going to take Frank though this week.
All righty, we get an upset here in our panel. I feel like we've been agreeing a lot this season, which can be good and can be bad on the preview side of things. But Drew going against the grain and picking the upset here in this preview. Who do we have next? I believe I'm peeking at Jack Bauer's logo out of my corner of my eye, and I am. We had it in the recaps. My question for Jack's team: can he win a game against a team that doesn't start an actual lineup this year? He's got Matt this week. Drew, you mentioned as well in the recaps that this matchup very important for Matt. You, myself, and him both sitting at 5-4. It's likely the 3 of us are fighting for the final 2 playoff spots. And Beav, I'll start with you. Luckily for Matt, he gets a pretty favorable draw, at least on paper, here in week 10.
Yeah, I'm just happy for Jack to see that he's putting out a crew to at least fight, to show us some fight. We don't have much running back help here, but hey, maybe we'll see Ali Gore get in the end zone one time. You never know. They're playing Buffalo. That game could be a shootout. I'm gonna take Matt here, just because he's got the upper deck. I do expect a bounce back week for Danny Dimes though. I don't think he'll have 3 interceptions this week. Uh, see him hitting back in the 20 range, 20 plus point range. But I don't know what to think about Nico Collins anymore, boys. I don't know if his ceiling is just get me 15, I'm happy, or if he's a receiver 1 still and he's gonna get me 30 points some games. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what to think about him. I'm so glad I sold off on him for his value. His value's depleted a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just gonna leave it there. But I'm gonna take Matt here.
JP?
Yeah, to answer Drew's question, I think at least Davis Mills sliding in. Backups tend to force it to the best player on the team, and that is without a doubt Nico Collins. He just had 70 or 7 for 75, as I displayed there quickly on the screen. I don't know how long it actually stayed up there before I clicked off of it. The one thing that worries me this week for Matt is Josh Jacobs versus Philly. But even so, I think he likely handles this, but Jack has some sneaky matchups in there where if he finds some touchdown scores here or there, this could get interesting. But I don't know if Shaheed's going to immediately come in and make a big impact in Seattle. So I'm ultimately going to take Matt to win this as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take Matt. Can you scroll down? What is Vele projected this week?
7.15, I believe, is
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Now with that expanded role.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Matt. I feel like that's it's a foregone conclusion here. I like what you said though, JP. I definitely wouldn't count Jack out of this matchup with him putting up 112 last week and Matt underperforming and putting up the 116 mark. Is this Jamar Chase's bye week or is it next week? I missed the top of Matt's
It's this week.
Yeah, okay, so I feel like that opens up a lot of possibilities, right? Because you look at what that was 116 last week with Jamar Chase. So he doesn't have him this week. He's got to start Bam Knight in the flex, and it'll be interesting to see. It's cool that he's got his guys now after making that big trade with Ty. First matchups for Matt's team for Baker Mayfield and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams saw last week with Ty, 2 touchdowns. He is so touchdown reliant. I feel like he's kind of turning into Mike Evans in that regard. We've always said with Evans how touchdown dependent he is in the fantasy realm. And like you said, JP Collins should get volume based on Davis Mills forcing him the football. In the end, it should be Matt, but I think this matchup has the ability to be a lot closer than what we might anticipate as we move on. We have two other teams toward the bottom of our league. Cam taking on Dade. JP, does Cam Crook get his first win of the season? He cannot blow this matchup up. He's already used his warning unless he wants to forfeit a pick and some cash to the league. He'll have to actually play a lineup this week. And it's post trade deadline, so there's even more ramifications that get thrown into there.
Took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say that last week was unfortunately or fortunately for the rest of the league, the last week that anyone was able to openly throw a match in the league. With that said, teams openly tanking now, which I believe is only Crook, have to meet a 5.5 minimum projected starter if that is capable on their roster. Obviously, you don't need to alter your roster to meet these specifications, but you are no longer allowed to pick a guy who is projected 3.5 rather than 4.1. If you have a guy who's projected 5.5, you got to have him in the lineup if possible. Anyways, with that said, I think the reason that Crook wins this week is gonna be not to piss Drew off here, but it's gonna be Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, we just saw him get 11 targets in a 17-point loss. Our pass defense is obviously terrible in Chicago, and with no pass rush against a Giants offensive line it's been okay, but Dart's been mobile in the pocket, and I think that will create a lot. We're eventually gonna have to spy Dart, which will again open up the middle of the field, which is exactly where Wan'Dale thrives. And so I'm gonna take Crook to win this. I don't know what the hell is gonna happen in this match. I understand that Dade's projected next to nothing, although Jack Besh and Jalen Lane will probably slide into his starting lineup. So I expect this projection to
Does he
jump
have a
at least
tight
a
end to
little
play?
bit. Though he only has
Cole,
Cole Kmet.
yeah.
Drew brought it up earlier. I
No, he's
guess he
got
could
Tommy
play Tommy
Tremble.
Trimble. But you know what? Actually, never mind. Crook's not winning this. Crook's not winning this game. There's just no way. Trey Tucker's and Jack Besh at least are the wide receiver 1 and 2 on paper. And I don't know what the hell's going to
I
happen. And
feel
I'm
like
taking
such a
Dade. I'm taking Dade.
I'm gonna take Crook because I really want to see him win. I feel like such an idiot for trading Trey Tucker on draft night for a 4th round pick. I was so heavy on I need another pick in this draft just because we're in the moment for whatever reason. And somehow Trey Tucker has stumbled upon being a top 2 receiver in Vegas, and I feel like an absolute moron for letting him walk out on the team. But the running back matchups here hurt my eyes. We got Michael Carter and Chuba Hubbard against Keaton Mitchell and Dylan Sam. I mean, that's just gross, guys. I'm literally picking Crook just because I really want to see him win. And JJ looked really good last week, so I'm going to lean on that from the quarterback standpoint. And man, if Kayshon Boutte doesn't play, it could definitely be Dade. But if Boutte plays, and you'll see, I have the Pats Tampa game involved in my pick of the week later on, and I feel very highly about that game. So if he's healthy, if he's playing, I can see Drake May getting him the football, but I don't know. This is a poop bowl. This is a gross matchup. But I'm taking Crook solely because I would like to see him win, not have a winless season. I think it'd be funny because I know he doesn't want to win, so I think that'd be funny if he did.
I'm blatantly taking Dade here. I don't care. No explanation. Crook, I hope I never have to see you ever again.
Whoa!
I hope someone slashed your tires. Uh,
Wow!
yeah,
Brutal.
that's all
Cam,
I
what did
got.
you do to Drew?
That's all I got.
Brutal.
I think this is a good time to hop in, and it's been 2 weeks again. I've been so bad at keeping up with this, but our
Yes.
records. So if I run through this quickly, 2 weeks ago, we were sitting at Andy at 40 and 16, me and Drew at 39 and 17, both of us. Last week, Drew and me both went 7 and 0. Andy went 5 and 2.
Dang.
We are now at 46 and 17, me and Drew, and Andy is 45 and 18.
Who did
So
I get wrong last week besides myself?
you got wrong. I think you took Ty to beat Drew.
Oh, okay. Dang. 7-0. Good for you guys. That's awesome.
And so
That's
then,
just
yep.
great.
So that's where we're at. I've been so bad. I'm gonna be better. You can count on that. We're
You
gonna
know what's
start
so
getting those
bad is
out
I
every
thought
week.
about it as you were going through your matchup, but you were so locked into talking about you and Frank that it literally slipped my mind within 2 minutes. So I'm happy you brought it back up because I wouldn't have. I that was my chance to mention it, and I did. So thank you for bringing that up. And once again, it's a chance for me to get a game back if I got Crook. You guys have Dade, Hunley's Hicks. Luke's looking to go 7-3 and win 2 in a row. He's got Ty this week. I'll start us off. I'm taking Luke. I hope I can speak for everyone else and say that we're taking Luke because Ty's not trying to win games. Does Ty have a quarterback to play this week?
I don't think so.
I
He
wish
does
this was
not.
my matchup against Ty later on. I would like to play a guy who doesn't have a quarterback to use. I'm looking forward to seeing how I always say this. It's the international games. Bijan's taking on that Colts defense over the pond. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Josh Allen's Josh Allen. He's going to do his thing for Luke. But in the end, this should not be all that competitive given the state of Ty's roster and him kind of scaling back a bit this year and Luke making a playoff push. So it should be Hunley's Hicks winning this matchup and improving to 7-3.
Yeah, I really don't have much to add, except now Ty has put himself into the category of where I could start saying things to look forward to rather than hoping for a good season. You obviously hope to see Judkins uh, bounce back against what should be a lesser Jets defense. You're hoping Harvey can overtake Dobbins down there in Denver. And that's actually just about it. Ty doesn't really have anything else to look forward to. I don't know how a team with Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to miss the playoffs. I'm really confused on what's happening on Ty's team, but I'm taking Luke to win this in considerable fashion. So
Yeah, I'm gonna take Luke here. I don't have much to say. I can't. Oh my God, I'm. It's not worth talking. Just go ahead. Go.
Wow. We've had two straight previews that have left the Beeve absolutely speechless. Guys, we just had a possibility. I picked Cam Crook to get his first win of the year. We have another possibility of a league member not only getting his first win of the year, his first win as a member of this league. Wade's taking on Brady in what should be actually a really good matchup, Drew. Who do you have here?
Yeah, I'm taking Wade here. You know, I think Nick Chubb finds the end of this week against Jacksonville. Like I said earlier, I think this Buffalo Miami game could be a shootout, so this could benefit for Tua. So that's good. And boys, how about Alec Pierce? Big week for him last week. Was really involved in that offense. I believe he had 7 receptions. I just know he had 18 points. Because I had him. I played him in a redraft league. Don't ask why. I just did.
Why did you?
Uh, I just had no depth. I had to play him.
Okay.
I had to play him. But yeah, Tucker Craft out the rest of the year, so this benefits Wade, Luke Musgrave, aka Nuz's favorite player.
Yeah, Jake,
Uh,
anytime touchdown this week, you have to do it.
so yeah. But I'm really concerned about Tyler Shug. That guy sucks. Or should I say he stinks like rotten eggs. But yeah, I'm gonna take Mr. Wade here. I really like it right here. What do we think, JP?
yeah, I'm also gonna take Wade. I don't know. I need Brady to win because Dade holds the tiebreaker against again. I need Crook to win. I need Brady. My Dade picks are falling apart. I'm watching it happen in front of me because this league is bipolar and they can't decide if they want to tank or if they want to play. No one knows what the hell they're doing if you're not a playoff team. This league is poisoned, rotten poison. So out of pure spite, I'm picking Brady to win.
Wow. I'm hopping on the Wade train. I'm picking Wade and Crook to get their first wins of the season this year just to make things fun. But I literally said in the recaps, Brady's consistent, man. He'll put up 120 to 130 every week. Wade just put up 133. I like Drew. I like actually that train of thinking. I think I could so see getting a notification on my phone that Nick Chubb punches in like a 2-yard touchdown in the noon slate against Jacksonville. I don't love that he's got to play Kenneth Gainwell, but Gainwell's going to get the looks this week against Los Angeles in prime time. It's so dependent on Tua because Tua could very well fall flat on his face and do absolutely nothing against Buffalo. But that game could also be out of hand really quickly to the fact that they'll need Tua to throw the ball a lot. I don't know. I think Jackson Dart can get swallowed up by this Bears defense. And who knows what Singletary is going to do. He's been getting involved a bit more since the Scatabo injury, but there's just a lot of question marks. Is that Jared Patterson starting for
It is
Brady?
Jarrett Patterson.
Is that the Buffalo guy? The same guy we're thinking
Yeah,
about from the
yeah,
University of
yeah.
Buffalo, the guy who had 7 touchdowns in one game. That's electric. But I don't know how much we'll see him on the field on Sunday night. I just think Wade's guys are going to get on the field more. And if you're playing, you got a better shot to score points. And because of that, I got Wade winning. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Beav, you and me, man. How many times have we had two of the three of us play against you? JP, I don't play you this year. I know you played Drew earlier in the
I
season.
play, so
I
this will
play
be
Drew next week, I think.
yeah. So
Have
it'll
you
be
played him
interesting.
already though? Yeah, you have
No.
played him. No. Oh, so this is the first matchup of the season between any of us. Okay.
Yep.
Beav, you're the underdog on paper, so I'll let you go first.
No, Andy, didn't we play earlier in the year?
I
Yeah, one
haven't
of you
played
guys.
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, you did.
Wait,
Yes,
did
you
No,
we?
we didn't.
Yes,
No.
me and you. Yeah,
No,
me
we
and you.
didn't.
Oh, I
Yeah,
played you before, Beav. My bad.
yeah, me and you
My
played
bad.
you.
That
You
was so
beat
long
me.
ago, and I did beat you. But
Yeah.
because of that, because you are not favored, I will let you give your thoughts first.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm obviously gonna take myself to win here, but I think this is gonna be a very ugly week for me. Not even with
Don't
bye
pull
week.
this crap on me, Drew.
Just let me finish talking. I'm not even done talking yet. Uh, I just don't like my matchups. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Jalen Hurts going against the Green Bay defense. I just think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I think it's with how bad this Eagles offense has looked lately. I think it's gonna be like a 17-10 game, somewhere in that. It could be a little closer. I'm not. This isn't the lineup's not set in stone. I don't know about my boy Guy. I don't know if he's getting the start. I'm really hoping Myers can do his job. Yes, he's only going to be there for about 5 days, so I don't know how much he's going to know the playbook. So that worries me a little bit. But we're starting this week. He doesn't have a choice. Week 2 with Bateman with Lamar back, going against Minnesota. I'm hoping that game's high scoring, and Bateman finds the end zone and gets me at least 10 plus points. That's all I can ask for him. Genty is not hitting his projection. I'll tell you that right now. He's getting like 8 points. If he goes over his projection, I'll be very shocked. And Jalen Warren, I think he could have a really good week. That's about the only player I think could have a good week this week on my team is Jalen Warren. That Chargers defense, I don't know what it is, but they just collapse in the second half. They just completely collapse every week in the second half. So I don't know. Maybe they're gonna figure some things out. But yeah, I'm gonna take myself, but I think it's gonna be a little rough.
I'll take myself as well, as I always do, but I cannot stress enough how important I mean, it's important for Drew. It's equally as important for me. We're both 5-4. We're two of the three guys fighting for the final two spots in the playoffs. There's a real possibility one of me and Drew is in and the other one of us isn't, and it could be because of this matchup. Just looking at my team, the Herbert matchup, primetime Pittsburgh, that concerns me. At least it's at home for the Chargers, but still, I mean, that Pittsburgh defense is pretty legit. A-Chain against Buffalo, even though that's gonna be a bad game, I still feel like A-Chain always does all right when Miami plays Buffalo. He gets a lot of those underneath looks, those check down passes. Hoping to see that. We have the Poop Bowl in Cleveland this week. The Jets are taking on the Browns. That is going to be like one of the worst football games we're going to watch probably all season. But hopefully that means the game is close and competitive. Brees Hall can consistently get looks. My team, we really missed him last week. Anytime Pook is in the field and in the fray, he just needs to stay on the field for all 4 quarters and not leave early because of any injuries or anything. If we scroll down, I know we have Egbuka back we have Egbuka and Smith back this week. Smith, Drew, similar to how you're concerned about Hurts against Green Bay, I'm equally as concerned about Smith in that matchup. Egbuka against New England, just good to have him back, but the tight end position is where I am not happy at all. I don't have Noah Fant or Jake Ferg this week because they're on buys, and my other tight end, Brent Strange, is still on the IR. So I had to go to the waiver wire and pick up Austin Hooper, and I have to play him this week. I don't have a choice. So that's not great. And Keenan Allen's coming off a really bad week as well in that weird Tennessee game. So I don't like how that looks. Kamara plays against the Panthers this week. So hopefully if that game can stay somewhat close, he gets involved more. I have no idea what to think of him anymore. And Trevor Lawrence, I believe the Jags are playing Houston. So that's not terrible, all things considered. It's a weird week. I hate the fact that I have Austin Hooper as my tight end. I think I'd be a lot more confident if I didn't have to play a guy projected under 5 points at the tight end spot just because of how things are operating. I legit have nobody else to play. Um, it'll be scrappy. I don't think that this is going to be an ugly matchup. I don't know if either one of us even hit our projections. It's going to be ugly, but you're just hoping for the
I
best at this point.
I will say for you, Yak, just be glad you have Puka playing because that's my worst enemy right now. I feel like every time I go up against him against you, he scores 30 plus points, and he is my biggest nightmare. So I'm just gonna scratch that in that he has 30 plus this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man. Honestly, I'm looking at Monday night. You having Dobbs and Hurts, and I have Smith. It'll be, I mean,
It could come
we're
down to the wire.
yeah,
It could.
depending on where we're at on Monday, that could mean a lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
pick myself,
It's
but this could get ugly. This could be ugly. JP,
You guys pretty much covered everything. The one thing I will say, and I cannot believe these words are even a real statement in 2025. Rico Dowdle's on 200-yard watch again. I think he's gonna run rapid all over the Saints, and I think that's ultimately gonna eliminate Alvin Kamara from anything serious. Like you guys mentioned, though, I think it comes down to Monday night, and if I had to bank on it, I'd just prefer Hurts to get a tush push touchdown over Devontae Smith catching a deep ball. I think you both go under your projection. This is an ugly ass matchup. I can't believe Austin Hooper's getting a start in Big Blue Five, but I'm taking Beav to win this one reluctantly. I'd actually wish I could take neither of you, but I'm forced to pick, so I'm taking Beav.
best of luck, Drew. This will be fun.
this. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be. Hey, I want to. Can we? Actually, I can't even say. I was gonna say this is the match of the week, but I think Wade and Brady's matchup is
I
genuinely
think
the match
what
of the
I
week.
have displayed is the match for the week because this is for first place in the Beavers, Brews, and Belligerents division. The winner of this game could potentially be the 1 seed, likely the 2 seed. I think this is the second time we're playing this matchup already. Boy already has the tiebreaker. If Zippy wins this could really cause some chaos up at the top. So
Well, we can let you start, JP. What are your thoughts here? Me and Drew just rambled for 10 minutes.
yeah, don't mind if I do then. Obviously, Mariota versus Detroit. I think they're playing from behind most of that game. So I actually do think for this week at least, Mariota. Oh my God, Rippas has Goff. Well, that's going to cancel that out absolutely completely. Everything I was just about to hype up Jake for, I completely forgot that he had Goff. I really like a lot of the matchups going on over there on the Ripa side of things. The one that worries me the most, and it's like Andy said about Bijan, is Jonathan Taylor going over the pond.
I
And
hate
then
those stupid international games, dude. They're the
Pittman
worst.
as well. Hawkinson versus Baltimore. I don't even know what to make of half. Like whenever we get to the bottom of Cam's team, it's literally like dud or 18 points from these guys. It drives me nuts. DK is the same exact way. Now the ones that are going to make the difference is, do we know who's starting for the Jets on? Is it Fields or is it Taylor?
I can look.
I
I
don't
have
even
no
know if one
idea.
of them has been named. I think that's
I'm sure
the
if I called Luke Huntley right now, he'd give me the answer in 2 seconds.
You
yeah,
should
He
call him right.
he.
Actually, just for this pod, you should call him and see if he answers you. Let's see if he answers. Live pod action. Let's do it right now.
I don't even know. No, Luke definitely has my phone number saved. My phone's on
I- will
3%.
I
I
can
got
call
it.
him.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
there's some really bad potential with this potentially.
I don't even know if he picks up. Oh, Luke. Hey, you're on the pod. Oh, were you sleeping?
We can't hear him.
I'm watching South Park.
You're watching South Park. You're on the pod right now, so don't say anything that you don't want on the pod. Do you know who's starting at QB for the Jets this week? You're our Jets expert.
No, I have no idea.
He has no idea.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Bro, I checked it tonight, and it was on Sleeper. It was posted like 6 hours ago. Let me pull it up real quick. Here it is. They asked their coach, what's his name again? Aaron Glenn, is that it?
Aaron Glenn.
He said, we'll see when asked about Fields.
Oh, great. So we have no idea. Okay. Thanks, Luke. Sorry to interrupt your South Park. You're
any Jets rushing touchdown from the quarterback.
As we'll get to it in our betting segment. No, that did not come to fruition for certain reasons last week. Luke, I'll let you get back to your South Park. Thanks for picking up, man. Talk to you later. Bye. That was fantastic. Live on the pod, Luke Hunley. So we don't know to answer the question. We don't know there.
I'm not liking a lot of Zippy's matchups. Actually, the deeper I got into this, I unfortunately I'm going to the James Cook versus Miami is obviously extremely intriguing. I just don't know what to make of Philly and Green Bay. I don't know if that's going to be like a slop shit show or if it's going to be entertaining. And I feel the same way about the Giants and the Bears because the Giants offense is terrible and the Bears defense is terrible and the Giants defense is solid and the Bears offense is solid. So it could be one of those games where they can't move the ball because their offense sucks and we can't move the ball because their defense is good. I just like the Rippas matchups better. And actually, I think the Rippas go over this 164. So I think Zippy's going to need to score 170 plus to beat Cam, and I'm taking Boyer.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's going to be a 180-point week for Boyer. This just feels like a boom week. It feels like he's due for another one of those. And yeah, like you mentioned, the Philly and Chicago guys, Jake said, that makes up nearly half his lineup. And that's tough just because we really don't know how that's going to shake out because of the more uncertainties. I mean, you also make the argument for Boyer that he's got two guys, as you mentioned, JP, going over the pond, which hate that as well. But I feel like I can stomach that more than having almost half the lineup with, who knows how those games are going to shake out. So because of that, I'll be on the Jack and the Rippas train as well.
Yeah, I'm also going to be on the Jack and the Rippas train as well. I could see Taylor and Kyron combining for 60 plus. I really think Kyron can go nuclear against his banged up San Fran D. And then Jonathan Taylor, I really think that he's going to have 200 rushing yards against this Atlanta D. They have been atrocious defensively this year. Other than that, I don't think there's much to be said. Like JP said, Jake's matchups are kind of not so good for this week, so I'm gonna roll with the Rippas.
Alrighty, there you have it. Clean sweep across the board to wrap out our preview. Shout out Luke for picking up just a couple of minutes ago and giving us some insight on what he knows. Or
I can't lie, that
more
was
or less
awesome.
what doesn't. I can't. I'm shocked he picked up. I thought he would have been sleeping by now. What he knows about the Jets QB situation. Still not done though. We have our power rankings and our picks of the week. That's coming up next here on the Just Beavin podcast. We've now reached the power rankings segment of this show. A lot of movement here as we enter week 10, JP. But one thing that stays consistent, our top three, and all three of us agreed on the 1 through 3 spots in the league up to this point.
Yeah, it feels like the first time that that there's been no movement from 1, 2, and 3. And I think this truly is the first time that we've had a unanimous 1, 2, and 3 all season. Which shout out to me, Boyer, and Zippy for holding down those spots. Obviously, Zippy has rebuilt his team to a degree, and they've been performing. And then we know what Cam's capable of. I just put up 217. Frank, though, moving up a spot. Beav, absolutely no love for Frank's team. Why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, I don't really like him. The thing with Frank is his team's bunch of players going like spark weeks, okay? But the main thing that with Frank is Stroud's banged up this week. Obviously, he might still play. He's got a concussion. Mills is probably going to get a start and likely will. I don't like Frank starting. I know he's had some good weeks, but I just am not a Woody Marks guy. I know I traded it to him. I don't know. I know that he's involved with the offense and he's been getting good productions, but I just don't feel like he's the be a winnable and a playoff contender. I don't think that's a good guy to have in your roster to be a top team in this league. And Dalton Schultz, I know it's one of Stroud's targets. This is Davis Mills now. Okay, this is not CJ Stroud. So this is going to be a whole different offensive fit. Not a whole different offense, but a whole different game plan for Mills. I mean, he's going to want to throw to his guys that he likes throwing the ball to. So, and then with Zay Flowers, I mean, he's a hit or miss guy. He's going to get you 20 points or he's going to get you 5 points. There's no in between. He's going to get you a lot of receptions or he's not going to get the ball at all. So there's a lot of question marks with Frank's team. I'm not saying he has a bad team. There's just a lot of question marks in the air, and this is why I put him at 6.
Where'd you have him last week? Did you have him higher than 6?
I think I had him at 6 last week too, or 5.
Okay.
I believe 6 or 5.
All righty. Just wondering.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty, and then Drew, we moved to you. Me and Andy actually were a little more distasteful on you. I find it funny that me and Andy had you at 6 and 7, and you actually moved up a spot in the rankings. It's not that I dislike your team. I mean, you just scored 170 points for what that's worth. I don't have anything against your team. I've just been more impressed or liked something a little bit more about the other five I had in front of you. Uh, Andy, I don't know if you feel the same or what your contention is, but
Yeah, kind of. And I think one thing we talked about with Drew's group, I mean, not going to complain with how you get it done, but it helped that Williams and Monungai, they exploded. They went against a bad Bengals defense. That's really what helped him get to 170. So again, you're not going to ask how you get there as long as you do so. But yeah, I think it was just more of I liked what was in front as well, kind of that similar line of thinking.
yeah. And then Andy, yourself, dropping down 2 spots from 4 to 6 after, I don't know, a rough week, missing some guys though, for sure. I actually was the one who was a little more distasteful on you than Drew, who actually seemed to like you almost as much as he liked himself, which is hard to do. So why don't we just quickly discuss you dropping 2 spots?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but like I wasn't expecting this week. I was hoping to be frisky. I was more or less this week banking on Frank's guys not showing up than my guys showing up due to missing a third of my lineup. I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't much I could have done, but it being in the situation I wasn't necessarily banking on a victory this past week. I mean, moving down a couple spots is tough, putting up 130, but I'm not worried about my group necessarily yet. Like, I like my team at full strength. I think everyone who's trying to contend likes their team at full strength. It was just tough having three of those guys off on the same week, along with injuries. Like, I think guys forget I don't have Joe Burrow. You know, Brenton Strange is on the IR, a guy who was pretty damn good as a tight end, a young tight end out of one of my flex spots coming out. So I'm missing a few guys on top of all that. So it's more or less just having to deal with that. And the other guys weren't able to recoup and recover. And you put up 130, no matter if you have your guys or if you don't, you're bound to drop in the power rankings. I know how this works by now. So I don't take offense to it, but I'm also not worried about my team the same way.
Yep. Then we move on to Matt, and I'll kind of talk for Matt, and then you two can jump in on, I guess, why you had him a little lower. Yeah, I know. We talked about it earlier in the show about, Drew was a little unimpressed by some of the moves he made, but I think Baker Mayfield. I mean, we've ragged on the guy every week for not having quarterbacks. Gino gets Bowers back and looks human again. I know Gino's got some tough matchups left on the schedule, but obviously, you get Gino playing football and then you go out and get Baker. I think the moves he made are obviously terrible for him in the long term, and I don't understand why these guys keep committing to championship or bust, especially when you literally you can have the best of both worlds in this league. You really can. And then, but I like what Matt did, at least for the next, what he's got to put out there for the next 8 weeks, outside of the question marks at running back with Williams and or Benson. I think the lineup is capable of making a run to the championship if you get the right matchups. And if you two feel otherwise about having them lower, you guys can jump in quickly.
Yeah, I think for me it was just the 116. Like anytime a guy wins scoring under 120, I mean, you win, but it's also not a good look in terms of it's not because your guy showed up, it's because the team you played against didn't show up. And I'm a recency bias guy. I know Drew, I feel like when Drew, this isn't a dig, but Drew looks more toward what's coming when he makes these power rankings, and I more or less reflect on what we just saw. So that's kind of was my line of thinking was I had him there because he dropped to 116.
No, and
Yeah,
that's
Drew.
and that's no, that's fair. It'll be interesting what happens with Matt. I had him at 7 because yes, he made this trade, but he's without Chase this week, and it's gonna be a big game for Matt because this is gonna decide if he makes playoffs or not. This is a must win for him this week. So it's really good to see if his team can come up and show up, or if he's gonna have another dud week like he had last week. So.
Yeah, then we moved to 8 with Luke. Andy, I'm curious where the Luke love came from, having him all the way at number 5.
Yeah, so when I did my rankings this week, I kind of looked at, who I had directly below him, myself at 6, who did I have at 7? Beav, and then Matt at 8. I'd said why I had Matt at 8. Drew at 7. I have Luke above him because I do also put matchups into effect. Luke did beat Drew. And then I put Luke above me because his team looked better than my team did this past week, and he's got a better record than the three of us. So that's kind of, where I laid into it in that regard.
And this is no hate to Luke. I mean no disrespect, like at all.
As you
I
continually
no
rank.
no no. It's not even that. Like I'm just gonna say it. Whoever plays Luke round one is going to beat him by 20 plus points, just because of how bad his flex plays are. I don't care that he has a three-headed monster of Bijan, Josh Allen, and if you want to say George Pickens, because he doesn't have. I don't. Who am I? I'm forgetting somebody. That's an obvious name. I'm forgetting. I don't know who it is.
DJ Moore.
I
Yeah,
thought.
the obvious name's gone, dude. You robbed him
Yeah,
of her
that's
and
right. It
traded
was
away
hers.
Darnold, and Fields doesn't
So
start anymore.
so yeah. So yeah, he's got Bijan and Josh Allen, and even if they score 60 points combined, you got to have other points. So I mean, you got to have people to feel. Chiga Akawaka, whatever you want to call him,
Conquo
isn't.
would be the way to say
I
it.
don't care whatever you want to call him. I'm just gonna start calling him Chibaka is what I'm gonna start calling him, and he ain't gonna get the job done for you. So props to Luke for getting your wins, but you make playoffs, they ain't gonna cut it regardless. So I'm cheering for you, but it
No,
ain't
you're
gonna.
not.
Yeah, no.
No,
So,
you're
anyways,
not.
then Ty and Brady, no movement at all. As we discussed in the previews, Ty blew it up. You could probably rank him and Brady however you wanted, and I
Can
don't
we
think
tie them?
anyone. Yeah, that's a like I don't think anyone would bat in either. Teams are pretty damn similar on paper. And Jack for the second straight week, moving up in the power rankings all
Oh
the
boy,
way to
Jack.
number 11. Congrats on that. I think it was funny though because Jack, Dade, and Wade all had the same exact average on their fantasy team. I actually had Wade above Jack and Dade. Uh, just he went out and got Debo last night, and just the spikes of that put me over the edge for that. But Wade also moving out of the 13 slot, I believe, for the first time this season, and so in his short Beaverfest career, he's finally out of the 14 spot. And Crook, who I guess in a good way is now down to the 14 slot, and that kind of rounds us out with our power rankings this week.
Alrighty, congrats to all the movement at the bottom. Never thought we'd see the day, and we still got some more time. We still have one more thing to do before we wrap out the show this week. It is our picks of the week. B, before I give it to you, JP, how did we all do last week? We had more than just the three of us making picks.
As a group, we went 3-5, so not
It,
not too good.
can we talk about
As
one of those that we didn't hit
Yeah,
as a group?
Luke gave out a pick for the Jets, either quarterback to rush in a touchdown. Unfortunately, I think we were also mesmerized by the boneheaded pick. None of us captured the fact that the Jets were on a bye week, so the bet wasn't even possible. So I guess in theory we were 3-4-1 because the bet couldn't
Attaboy,
be
Luke.
placed. I'm not sure if you didn't lose money, but you didn't make money, so we'll call it 3-4-1. As a panel, the
Only
three
our
of us
group.
went.
Only our group.
Yeah, truly. As a panel, the three of us went 2-1. Drew was on the Steelers money line. That hit. That brings Drew's record to 2-7. But hey, first win
Attaboy,
in a
bees.
long time for
Hold
Drew.
up. Whoa. I was on Steelers money line, but my play of the week was Ashton Genty to score.
Oh, it was Ashton Genty touchdown. Steelers money line was the week before when they lost. You are correct. I apologize. He did take Ashton Genty for the touchdown, and that whatever. Still 2-7. Andy took the Seahawks spread on Monday night against the Commanders, and boy, was that not even a sweat at all. I took the Houston Texans, who would have hit had Stroud not got hurt, as they blew a 9-point lead prior to his injury. That missed though. Me and Andy are sitting at 6-3 apiece. Drew at 2-7. The group is sitting at 14-13. We've remained over 500 for 2 weeks, which I believe is now the longest we've ever done that. So that's impressive in itself.
Alrighty, Beav, it's your segment. You got 3 minutes and change. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's get it going. So here we go. We're gonna rapid fire our picks and tell us a little bit why. Let's get on to you, Yak. What are we doing?
So I actually didn't hit on an over last week. I hit on an over 2 weeks ago, if my memory serves correct. But I've hit on an over this season, and I'm gonna try to do it again here in week 10. Bucks Pats over 48.5. That's a big number. I know that's a big number, but you look at what both of these offenses have been able to do this year. Tampa's coming off a bye. They're going to be fresh. They've had time to prepare for this New England defense. And Drake May is playing at an elite level as well, regardless of which receivers he has active or not. That's about 3 touchdowns and change per team. I totally think that's possible for what they're able to do. I know the weather might not be awesome, and if that's the case, this is going to look like a tough pick for me. But if the weather is okay, it's a high number, but I feel super confident. Bucks Pats over 48.5.
Nice. Okay. All right, JP, what are you thinking?
Well, I will lead off my pick by saying, Drew, you have the potential to do the funniest thing with this remaining here. I lived with Ty McCain for a long time, and Ty's a devoted Titans fan, and so I've come to love Vrabel and know Vrabel for what he is good at. When everyone counts out the Patriots, what used to be the Titans, they win the game. They always win the game. Didn't matter the spread, didn't matter what it was. No one is believing the Patriots can win this game. Nobody. If you go look at all the books, it's about 70%. Everyone's taking the Bucks on the spread, and the money line's even higher than that. Nope. Mike Vrabel does not lose these games. Drake May is playing better than Baker Mayfield was playing, even prior to the bye week for Baker. Give me the Patriots money line plus 120 on the road in Tampa Bay. I absolutely love it. I love this Patriots team. I actually love this Patriots team so much. I might place a future on them to win the Super Bowl. Drake May is that guy and probably the best quarterback from the 2024 class. So
That's right, guys. Someone can clip that face I just made. Please do. Anyways, I'm gonna keep it rolling with my pick. I'm gonna get a winning streak going here, and we hear the crowd laughing. But you guys can do whatever you want. I'm going back to anytime touchdown this week. We're going Cardinals Seahawks. Just keep it simple. Going JSN Tutty. It's plus 105. Book it. He's getting the end zone. He didn't get in the end zone last week. He's gonna find the end zone this week in a division game. So plus 105 JSN anytime touchdown. There you have it,
Alrighty.
folks.
2/3 of our bets are going to lie on that Patriots Bucks game, which should be a really good football game.
yeah, I'm
All
looking forward
things
to it.
considered, and it should be another really good week in the world of Beaver Fest. Make sure to check out our socials, beaver.fest, to catch up on all the trade deadline action and stay locked in prior to this week. We thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Just Beavin podcast. We'll catch you next time. Peace.